right, so we on there. We're recording there. We're recording here. All right, guys, y'all ready?
Yeah.
Hey.
All right, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, welcome back to the Ayoo Chill podcast. I'm your host, Beto. I got two crazy guests for you. Actually, real quick, before I even introduce them, welcome to the first episode of June in Jersey.
Ooh.
And I wouldn't want to kick it off with anybody else than you two. So, guys, real quick, you guys could introduce yourself. I guess we'll start with my boy at the end of the couch.
What's up, guys? My name's Aaron. Yeah. I work here at Glower Studios. My company's called Iron Audio. I specialize in metal songwriting and music production. So, yeah, that's me.
And you could go ahead, man.
I'm Shane. I own Glower Studios. I record, produce, mix, all those cool things.
Sweet. And guys, y'all already know who I am, so I ain't even gonna give you no introduction or nothing. Guys, it's crazy. This actually, I think, I've had two guests on before, never in this format, so I guess we'll see how it goes, just chilling on the couch.
Yeah.
Because this is, I think, the most studio vibes you could kind of get. What the audience is not seeing right now, and I'll see if I could get a shot of it later, we're literally chilling in Shane's studio. He has his whole wonderful, crazy desk over here with his beautiful monitors and everything, and the couch in the back. And usually this is where, like, the artists would be chilling,
Yep.
If they're watching you mix or, like, they're chilling after they record something and listening back, right?
Yeah, this is generally the spot where you're hanging, watching,
Word, fellas.
sleeping, napping, probably.
Word.
Very
And this
comfortable.
couch is hella comfortable too.
Too comfortable.
It
Hella
is. I'm
comfortable.
sinking into this thing.
Yeah.
So I guess I'll start off with I just want to get to know you guys just a little bit better. I know the audience knows you pretty good, Shane, because you've been on an episode before,
Yep.
but we'll kind of restart everything and get to know each other all over again. Aaron, why don't you tell me how your journey started, where exactly you're from, and tell me how it started.
Sweet. I'm from a small town called Midland Park, New Jersey. It's like North Jersey, Bergen County. I guess I'll talk about like my music path since that's what I'm here for. Oh man. I've always been into like more aggressive kind of music. My dad was in a band for a lot of his life. He was like the vocalist of like a punk rock band. And I think that's how I got introduced to like that like sort of style music, like the more in your face aggressive stuff. And like my whole life I've been just like obsessed with that style of music. And eventually I started playing drums, guitar, and got into music production that way because I wanted to record my own music. And then years and years been working on my craft, and I guess that's how I'm here. I know that's like a 11 years like put into like a short time span, but that's like the general progression of where I'm at.
Word.
Yeah.
And how about you, Shane? How did this start for you? Where are you originally from, and then how did you start getting into this?
I'm from Ellicott City, Maryland, originally. I've been a drummer my whole life. I got into music production, I guess, just from kind of doing more songwriting arrangement with bands. And I kind of started following that path. I went to school for audio production at UMBC. Long story short, got a job up here at Architect Music in Butler down the street, a place I left about 6 months ago. And more or less on this now fully solo journey with you guys and run our own ship. And yeah, that's the very abbreviated version up until now. So
Word. So why don't we get to letting the people know how this kind of all got together? Because I think it's funny how it all kind of got together. Because, like I said, people know me and your journey, Shane, right? Because I used to be your intern, and that's kind of how it started off. And then we grew, and then we got connected back together after the podcast and everything.
yeah,
But what's funny? I actually don't think I've ever heard the story of how you and Aaron met, or how y'all even are associated at all.
I think it's
I know Shane. I knew about Architect Studios because it was in the area, and I don't know if who reached out to one another like online, but we knew that we both did the same kind of work. And I think one day you hit me up. We went to just grab lunch and just talk about music production, metal, and I knew we were both like, I guess, on the rise of trying to find like a place to work at. I was interning at a few places and it just wasn't working out for me. I had my own studio space, but it was like kind of secluded. I was just there alone doing my thing, and I felt like kind of isolated, and I knew Shane was like looking for a new space, and it just kind of aligned. Like Shane was one day like, if I find this new space, will you be interested in like sharing it with me? And like, hell yeah. And then it happened out of nowhere.
Word.
So yeah.
I think it's funny. You look at the podcast we did 6 months ago, and what I basically projected, like what I wanted out of that wasn't going to happen at the current location that I described. Like that was when I talked about like the philosophy of having a collective and stuff like that. Like that happened here today because we have the space. But it was weird. 6 months ago was very different plans that we had talked about. It's almost like I like tried to forecast like what this was going to end up being, because the moment I got out of that house, I went down to like, all right, I want to be back with people again, because I did the secluded like log cabin in the woods for like 3 months, and I found that was really cool for like a quick Airbnb type, like I'm an artist in the woods for 3 months. But I found very quickly, like after a year, that was not going to be sustainable, for a variety of reasons, let alone what ended up happening with my landlord. But even just mental health wise, that seclusion is nice, but I find so much of like what we do is, especially coming out of COVID, like wanting to get back with people.
Yeah.
That was gonna kill me.
Word.
Being out on my own for that long.
Yeah, this style of work is like, it can be isolating. You just like sitting at your computer all day working on music. And it's cool to like all be together here.
Yeah, and I think it's great too. You know, it's funny. I just had a podcast with a regular that's here, Nathaniel, right? And he was talking about how being a sound engineer is one of the most like I think he used the word reclusive.
Yeah, he said reclusive. Yeah, was the
Yeah.
word.
Yeah, like in general, you know. And
Yeah.
and some people really fuck with it, and some people don't. Like obviously, I'm a social butterfly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I just like talking to people. I like seeing what they're doing. Although I'd say I'm a little bit of 50-50, because I think like you guys seen, like when I'm in the zone, like I'm just like boom,
Yeah, you're
in there.
You're doing your thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you know, I think what we're doing now is also so different from like, I think I've never seen anything like this really done before.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've seen like, not necessarily like at least exactly what we're doing. I know that like exactly what we're doing is specific, right? But like, for example, even like Architect, right? They had like different facets that all worked in the building together, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like they were all kind of, they all meshed together in like, you know, in like a certain harmony. But like we're all sound engineers, right?
Yeah.
But we all kind of have our own taste in thing. Like Shane's mainly like, you know, like pop, hip hop, you know, doing that, and then how you're metal.
Yeah.
And although I'm a sound engineer and I'm not really recording that much, I mean, like
Yeah.
I'm recording audio here, but like I've kind of dove into the media world.
Yeah.
You know.
No, we do such different things from like such different worlds. Yeah.
So how do you feel like everything's panning out so far, Shane? Like with like, you know, your dream and everything you talked about before.
I feel like it's coming together in ways, I guess I don't know. Sometimes like when you go to like like the phrase like the no news is good news. Like I feel like if there's not a ton happening or like that, like it's regular and it's flowing, it's like it's a great place to be. In a general sense, like I don't have a ton to comment on. It's like what I thought it was going to be versus like what ended up happening. Like I think it's flowing pretty seamlessly. Like if I'm not thinking about it, I don't want to give my anxious brain a reason to think about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like sometimes we like go to look for problems. If things are going right, we want to look for problems. But I'm like, in general, I'm like, I don't know. Things are happening very natural. Like the conversations we have where we figure out where to put things, like scheduling, like we run into things like little things, but we always like communicate and figure it out. And like, there's no like, oh, this is a major roadblock. We need to like, we didn't look ahead of this.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty similar. How about you, Aaron?
Yeah. I feel like nothing has been forced. Like it's us three doing our own thing. Like, and we're all in our own lanes, but like the time that we spend together, it's not forced. It's like we're interested in what each other's doing, and like we have good connections, and like all our clients have been nice to each other so far. Like there's nothing.
That was the biggest thing. I think like dispelling. Like,
I know it's only been like a month, but like
yeah. But I think even just seeing people kind of like people's brains going off and seeing there's multiple rooms and multiple people and kind of dispelling like some of the genre miss and like getting people
Yes.
together just to make art. That's like big picture. Some of the message I think that's like coming to fruition here.
Yeah.
And it's funny. I get a little giddy sometimes when people don't realize like, oh, like you're in a metal band, like this person, and they've been talking for 15 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, like I get a little like I'm like, oh man, like topically, if you saw each other on Instagram, you might have swiped left, you know, type thing. So I'm like, the fact that like we're bringing different people from different walks of life together, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, and I feel like our vibes too, you know, it's not for nothing. I feel like if we couldn't vibe together, I don't think this would have worked out.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, it's actually I'll tell Aaron a story. I've mentioned it to Shane before. The first time I met you, Aaron, I'm not gonna lie, it's funny. Nobody really sketches me out at all, right? Nobody
Did I sketch you out?
Yeah, no, for sure, 100%. And it's not even like you sketched me out in a way I was like, yo, this man's like threatening.
Yeah.
But I think it's because you're kind of like more reserved back like when you
I'm
talk.
definitely
It was
reserved.
at night too.
Yeah, it was at night too.
It's what Nathaniel's talking about. Like the audio engineer, songwriter is more reclusive. Like I'm definitely an introverted person.
Yeah.
And I naturally, especially if I first meet you, I almost don't say it. I almost don't talk to you.
Yeah.
It's because I feel anxious. It's not because of you, you know?
No, like, yeah, I totally felt that. And, you know, like, when I went there, and it's like, it's weird because, like, for me, since I'm so, like, you know, like,
Yes,
wanting to,
yes.
like, you know, like, talk,
Yeah.
you know, whatever. Like, I'm, like, basically, like if we had to compare ourselves, like, dog-wise, there's that dog
Yeah.
that's just chilling.
Yeah.
And there's dogs, like, fucking with the other dog trying to play and shit. That's literally me, bro. I'm just like,
Yeah.
trying to fuck with you. I'm like, yo, come on, let's get this, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And, like, for me, it's weird because like I try to like I throw so many things at people, right? And
Yeah.
when they don't throw anything back,
I'm the type of dude who does not throw things back.
Yeah.
Like it's very like calculated for me. Like I have to feel like ready to do that, but it takes so long for me to just feel like ready to like I guess open my or show you who I am. Like it's natural for me to be that way. And I try to challenge it. Like I know you give me like those opportunities to like step out of myself and like I appreciate it, but I definitely do not take all of those opportunities.
no,
Yeah.
dude, yo, I mean, like, dude, I respect and I appreciate how you are, dude.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I was telling you, I was like, yo, first time I met Aaron, you know, like I'm trying to talk to him and he's kind of reserved, and I was like, I didn't know how I felt about him, bro.
Yeah.
I was like, I wasn't sure if like he fuck with me, if he doesn't fuck with me, but like, you know, I think
I think that's the shit people have been talking behind my back forever.
Yo, what's his story?
and it's crazy. I think when I was like younger and like more like I think just didn't think about bigger picture shit, you know, I'm just like I think anybody would be like, oh, he doesn't fuck with me. That's why he
You would
talk.
take it personal.
Yeah, I never take anything personal.
Nah.
I'm just waiting. I'm like, all right, I guess we're just gonna have to wait and see who he is. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I think it's worked out pretty perfectly so far
Cool.
and seamlessly through everything, man.
Yeah.
And especially, I think also, it's weird. Do you guys feel like your clientele are a little, and especially your regular clientele, are a little bit of a reflection of who you are as well? Do you find that?
I would say so. At least for me, like a lot of metal dudes, they are the more reserved people. And they really don't. Actually, one of my best friends and clients, Kenny, he's the opposite. He's like you. He's like very extroverted. So, but I would say generally my clients, they're more like me. What about you, Shane?
Yeah, I would say too. I feel like having what's up?
I feel like you have a wider array of clients. Mine are like mostly metal dudes, and they kind of share that similar thing. But I feel like yours, you're more diverse.
I don't know. I feel like some of these people like I just enjoy. I was talking this with a friend literally last night. I don't think a lot of the reason why we get some of our work is just because there's so many more talented people and probably more hardworking people than all of us. But that's not why we get every gig. I think I've had repeat people and I have a rapport, like a culture of clients I've built over years that like have come to me just because like I can also go out and like have a beer with them.
Yeah,
There's like nothing to do with.
you're very good at that stuff. You're like, you can connect with your clients in a different way than I've seen anybody else connect with clients.
I try to make the expectations clear of like what we're doing together.
Yeah.
You know, if there's something that's like, I'm very transparent with business too. So it's like if there's something, I don't leave like breadcrumbs to make them pondering or thinking there's like an angle or something weird to it.
Yeah,
Like if we're gonna go out to dinner and like just bullshit and completely get away from the session, like that's what we're gonna do.
yeah,
But there's nothing hanging over their head when they come back that like, I don't know. There's no like, I enjoy when I connect with people like that, I generally think the art turns out better.
Yeah.
It's like the short version of that.
So do you guys feel like, I'm actually kind of interested in going into like also I've never had a podcast yet where I have like all other sound engineers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right?
it's true.
Yeah.
And that's crazy for me. And to be honest, it's quite an honor. I'm not even like I did I say because like I don't think sound engineers really get enough love on the internet, and we are kind of like the secret society in the industry of like how even music pumps out, because without us the music wouldn't be there. You know what I mean? And especially for sound engineers and like mastering engineers as well.
Yeah.
So how did you guys actually like get into, like, when was your first experience like knowing that like, hey, I'm going to be a sound engineer?
I was writing music with my brother when I was like 15, maybe even 14. And I had a laptop at home and I wanted to record what I was working on. So I downloaded like the shittiest song. I think it was called Acoustic of Mixcraft.
Word.
I don't know if you've heard of it. And I got an interface from Guitar Center and I plugged in my guitar and like I remember like working around that software and I found like a reverb tool and I put it on. I was just like, oh my God, that sounds so cool. Like I can like make things sound cool. And then I literally became obsessed ever since then. I was like 15 years old. So like I like the creative aspect of audio production. And then I just like somehow built mixes, like just because watching stuff on YouTube, and then that led to me playing local shows in my band, and then bringing like a CD that I made of my mixes to show other people, and then that kind of snowballed with me recording bands. Like it just kind of snowballed like that.
Sick.
Yeah.
Sick. How about you, Shane?
I learned on was it a Korg HD 3200, which was like a eight-track multi-track hard disk recorder with like a single like fucking. It looked like you were playing like a Pokemon Red or something. Like it was just very like that before I even had a DAW in college, and that was just from wanting to record my own band stuff and trying to mimic. I think similar to Aaron, trying to like figure out how to get sounds from my favorite records, like hearing those like aha moments of like, oh, I can layer a kick sample underneath the original sample and make it sound more blah blah blah, or like first time I heard reverb or anything like that, and like trying to listen to records and just rinse repeat. But that, like I said earlier, like that just came a lot from like starting to do more songwriting arrangement for bands than it was like me just drumming. And it kind of just blossomed into that, where eventually it was like, oh, I like making songs, not just drumming on records.
Yeah.
Word. No, yeah, for sure. And did you guys have because I know you still songwrite a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like for me personally, especially getting into sound engineering, I feel like my whole idea at first was very much like, oh, like, I wanna make my craft, because I originally a euphonium player, right? And I always wanted to make euphonium playing like a part of my sound engineering. Yeah. But I always find it kind of difficult, because especially that being classical and that not being something where it's like, like I'm never going to have a hip hop artist where he's like, yo, damn, I need a euphonium on this track, bro.
I don't even know what a euphonium is.
It's like a mini.
I've never even heard of it.
It's like a mini tuba. Let's call it that.
Oh, cool.
It's like a smaller tuba. Yeah. Let's just call it that for this.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, and
there you go. Case in point.
Yeah. Like, and with doing that, I was like, fuck, I always wanted to be a part of what I do. Did you guys find that once you got seriously into sound engineering, that your playing time with your main instrument kind of went down extremely?
Absolutely.
100%.
I was a drummer most of my life.
Oh shit.
Yeah. And then got into music production, and like I used to play drums like a lot, and now I don't really play drums. I play guitar because it's part of my job. But yeah, I noticed that I don't play as much drums because of it.
I think start like, I don't know, you just get more excited about like what's helping the tune than just like, oh, this drum part is sick.
Yeah, it's like you get to work on all the instruments instead of just like playing one instrument
and see it come together.
Yeah,
like slowly. That's the coolest thing. It's not like one chess piece like makes the song go aha. It's like all these little things we do in recording and producing and mixing. It's like, okay, this is why we do this, instead of like, I mean, it's still fun like building like the building blocks of like playing drums and like seeing it go from there. But the relationship's just different with it now. It's not like I try to bring back. I don't say it's bad, but I try to bring back that childhood innocence sometimes of just playing
Yeah.
and remembering that, because it's like it's easy to get tainted and jaded with like working every day.
It is like I rarely just play instruments for fun now. It's like associated with my job and money and all this stuff. It's
Yeah,
like,
and I think we need to do that. I need to do that sometimes. Sometimes I just like want to rip early Slipknot and put my headphones on.
Yeah,
and just
dude.
bash shit, like and not give a fuck.
Yeah.
And then that'll probably help work tomorrow. It usually does.
I definitely do feel that. I sometimes even take my ukulele sometimes, and I'm just like, strumming it. Actually, funny enough, sometimes when I'm like really stressed or like feeling like depressed or something, I'll just take my ukulele and I'll
smash it on the ground.
bro. I mean, one day I definitely want to do that, like on a serious note, like Rockstar style, after a
Yeah.
show and just go wild.
Do the
That's
Who with
cool.
your guitar,
Yeah,
yeah.
hell yeah. But I would go. If you guys know like Eagle Rock in West Orange,
Of course.
Yeah.
they have like a view there, a beautiful view of like the city, and like you can just see the sky, beautiful skyline. I'll take my ukulele there like 2:00 in the morning, and I'll kind of just strum and sing to myself, and it's fun too, because like I actually found some other things that I'd be getting away from. To take me away from even songwriting and sound engineering, because I feel like I said, I love it, and I'm sure you guys wake up every day loving what you do, but sometimes it's like even doing what you do every day, you need to get away from it a little bit.
Oh my god, yeah.
There's that phrase, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life. That sounds
Yeah.
like that person's never worth that job.
Facts.
Because there's nothing 100% that you're gonna do every day. That's like, I mean, there's so many things in our day that people don't see, that the
Yeah.
non-sexy part of our
It
job.
gets monotonous after a while.
So what do you guys be doing, like, if you're not here in the studio or doing like even this for like fun? Like, are there other things that you guys use to like get away?
It's like the engineer's most like feared question.
It is. I
What
like
do you do for fun?
I like exercising, go to the gym, spend time with my girlfriend, my cats, and see family and friends. But I feel like this is my hobby, so like I really don't have a hobby outside of this right now. Like when I was younger in school, I would play sports, but like now, I turned my hobby into my career. So it's like I don't really do much else, honestly.
Word.
Yeah.
You gotta come to a soccer. We all gotta take like a soccer
would love
game
to.
trip and shit. Hell
Sweet.
yeah. Because that's mainly what I do and stuff. Like
Nice.
I got season tickets for my soccer team,
Oh, cool.
so I kind of have that consistently going. And then I have like another group of friends. Like I have cool little like sects of friends and stuff
Yeah.
that I'll be hitting up like here and there. And I have this one group. I call them the Polish gang because they're all Polish, right? So I call them the PGs. And
The PGs.
and they always keep me like doing different shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's
and
cool.
and it's great because also like, as much as I love to be around other sound engineers like every day, sometimes like I just don't want to hear that shit. You
Yeah,
know
it's
what I mean?
too much of
Not
the
here
same
do
thing.
I.
Yeah.
I think we try to break. I don't think we're, the stereotype that they talked about in the podcast. I don't think we fit that mold. Like, there's a difference between like being reclusive and God, I can't. I'm still waking up here.
Yeah, no problem.
Introverted,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also like the people that just don't socialize much from that. Like you socialize, like you do things outside of here. You can,
Yeah.
even if you are working a lot.
Right.
Like you're not like
It's not like I'm here all the time, only in that room, just doing stuff alone.
you're not like
I think out of the three of us, I fit that mold more because I can kind of sit in my room for 12 hours and just write music.
but you're not like bearded ponytail. Like I
No,
can't have a
I'm-
conversation with you.
Yeah, it's
Engineer.
not like I've never talked to anyone in my life, and that's all I do. Like, I definitely like interact with people outside of this stuff, and I find value in that when it happens. It does like reset me.
I think the same way. I would say. We were talking about this last night. Like the perspective away from it is what allows me to do this better and
Yes.
become more inspired. Like I watched Goodfellas last night, first time because rest in peace. And like getting that buzzing in my brain. I don't know. I'm thinking differently today. Like I'm tired, but I have like a good energy to like to work on my work, and
Nice.
film gives me huge perspective visually and sonically to do what I do. So that's like one major hobby. But yeah, like similar to him, though, time's limited because a lot of my hobby of like these things that I did do, like at my parents' house growing and stuff like that. Like it's part of my living now, so the relationship's changed. So when I try to get like sandbox time or like innocence time to really tap into some of those childhood freedoms and remember some of that, why I do this, I try to be very intentional and get away from doing this.
Yeah, yeah, and like I said, and because I think a lot of people wouldn't. I feel like when you're just getting into this, and before you become your own boss, and before you start doing this as a living, you know, it's. I remember the innocence and the excitement and awe that I got from seeing someone being in their studio
Yeah.
and being like, bro. If I was you, I'd be here every fucking day. I'd sleep here. I'd fucking piss shit, whatever, in the same spot. Like I wouldn't leave. I wouldn't leave.
Yeah.
And you know, like now that you know you're finally here, and you know, like honestly, like living the dream. You know, like, and I'm just like, damn. I'm like, I want to go fuck home. You know what I mean? Like I need a different.
Yeah,
place,
you just.
for
I
sure.
think
Yeah.
you just need the perspective and the balance so you don't burn out.
I feel like that's a part of like maturing. I feel like when we're younger, we like almost fantasize about this stuff and it being like this amazing thing, and then you get here and it's like, okay, it's just a job,
You need.
but it is like an awesome job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
the fucking best. I mean, like I couldn't, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
yeah.
What I did want to ask you guys too, do you guys remember your first like big moment as like a sound engineer where you're like, yo, I do this shit? Like if you guys need a couple of seconds to think about it, because I remember like my first one, I mean like for me was when I was in college and I was first doing this shit. And I think what a lot of people don't know is like when I started out sound engineering, bro, like I didn't know shit, bro. Like I didn't even know what an XLR was.
Yeah.
And it was like bad. And I remember like sitting in that, like, you know, the first class with like the 18 kids and everybody knows what the fuck they're doing, and I'm just sitting there like fucking dumb faced. I remember when I first we were working on it wasn't the 16 track, it's the smaller, I think it was like the 8-track machine, and it was like one of our first projects we did, and we were cutting audio like by hand and shit with the razors.
Oh
and shit,
damn,
right?
that was never my world. I don't.
Yeah, like that was like one of the first examples I got into the audio engineering world, and I'll never forget, bro. I made my cut, and then I put the tape together with it, and then like I remember it sounded like off, right? Like, you know, like you get that little skip, you know what I mean? And then I was like, fuck, and I cut it a little bit more, and I put the tape back on, and it was still fucked up, right? And I put it, and dude, I was getting stressed, and I was like, fuck, I was like, I'm never gonna be a sound engineer. And then you cut it, and it's seamless. That seamless
Yeah,
fucking, like,
yeah.
that seamless Edison. You're like, holy fuck, like I just did this.
That's
And it's
cool.
crazy, and it comes with the ups. It comes with ups and downs. I'll tell a story of that like after. I kind of want to get you guys think about like your first time where you're like, holy shit, like boom, like this is what I fucking do.
I feel like I've like associated that with my identity since I was like 15 years old, because that's pretty much when I started recording bands, like 15, 16. I feel like it's a part of like just like my identity now. But I feel like the first moment I'm like, this is like what I do, is when I was able to afford like my own studio space.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I know that associates it with like financial, like, okay, I can afford this now it's legit. That might be not good, but
It's way more real though.
it feels more real
yeah.
because of that. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll probably say being on my own as the engineer at Architect at 25 was when I finally wasn't like assisting for anyone, and sort of running sessions, learning some of the billing and invoicing and scheduling, like doing fully encompassing all that, was when it was like, okay, I'm doing this now.
Yeah.
It felt like some of the training and the work up until that point, I was doing it, but it was definitely more of like there's obviously safety nets. There's people you go through, and it was a different world with a team. But doing it on my own at 25 more, and taking that on full time, was when it started getting like, okay, this is real now too. So yeah,
That's sick. That's sick. What was your guys' like first big project that you guys released? Do you remember that? Where like I don't know if you guys have ever released like a full album or like a full EP or something,
Oh,
but
yeah.
where it was just you. Like, what was your guys' first project, and how was it?
First project ever, or first like bigger project?
I guess like bigger project. You know what I mean? I'm not just talking like, you know, because we've all made like I think a bunch of songs like first thing, but I think I'm
Yeah.
like first like maybe like EP or like, you know, like set where like this is all you.
I was in a band called Sever the King, a metal band, in high school, and I wrote an album. I was like 17, and I did the whole thing. I wrote it, recorded it, and had the vocals do vocals, and I mixed everything, and I released it, and like that just felt cool to have like an album out that I created like myself. That was like the first, I guess, album I ever like fully did by myself. It just felt awesome.
And how looking back at it now, like how do you think it's like? Has it stood the test of time, or do you feel like?
No, I listened to it and I cringed, but like
I feel like that, yeah.
it did like decently well online. Like
Uh-huh.
I think almost 200,000 plays, whatever, for like
That's
just
That's
insane.
sick. That's
Jesus
sick.
Christ.
Hell yeah,
just
bro.
like putting it out there. Like
How long ago was this?
10 years ago.
That's 200. That's
Dude,
fucking
that's more
great
than-
Thanks.
for 10 years
Thanks.
ago,
More
bro.
than any
What?
local most
Thanks.
people.
Yeah, dude. What? That's
Jesus.
crazy.
But that felt cool to like have an album out that had like not 0 plays, but like a
Yeah.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
that felt cool at the time. Yeah.
That's wild.
How about you?
Yeah,
Shane?
I mean, my college. I think doing my high school band in the hard disk recorder, and then doing my first album in Pro Tools with my college band, which I still have both CDs in my car. I still drive my high school senior car to this day, which is it's like there's a weird romance for that. So I still have all of the CDs that led me to this point in there.
The car you drive now is still the one you had from high school?
Yeah, I had my senior parking pass and everything.
Holy shit, dude.
And balling on a budget, baby.
Damn.
Yeah.
Good shit though. No, that's fucking
I'm just
respect.
maintaining.
That's fucking respect.
Get your oil change every 6 months. It's not that hard. I have so I have my high school band and my college band CD like ready to pop in at any point. It's
That's
always
cool.
like it's just a humbling reference point.
Yeah. That's how I feel. Like I listen to them just like ugh. But like it's cool to like see the progression.
You're doing that shit at like 17. Like,
Yeah.
No one. It is like it's specific what we do now, let alone back then, before the whole self-education like DIY revolution kicked in. Like
yeah.
we were doing some of this before it got big, man. You know, like the home studio revolution. Like anyone can, everyone has a DAW now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But 15 years ago, that was not the case.
Yeah.
Do you guys remember your first meeting, your first like audio engineering like hero or like famous person where you were just like, holy shit, like I can't believe I'm in their presence?
Yeah.
I have good stories and bad stories of both.
Go, please.
So I think a part of my like whole metal world, I'm very influenced music production wise by a sound engineer named Will Putney and his studio Graphic Nature Audio. And I actually got to intern there for like 2 years. And I think when I first got there, I was like so fucking nervous, dude. Just so nervous that I think like I wasn't able to like establish a normal connection with him because I was just so weird.
Mm-hmm.
But that studio like influenced a lot of my metal work, and like I think I sent them like 15 emails over a span of like 2 years just to try to get like into that place.
Shit.
And then somehow it just happened. So I would say like that's like the first audio engineer that like it felt like I was meeting like somebody that I was definitely influenced by their work.
And did you feel like it was like it met your expectations, fucking blew your expectations, or was it like not what you thought it was going to be?
This is a tough question because at the time I was not okay mentally. So I don't know the correct way to look at the situation. It ended up not working out for me. Like I left and I had to start my own studio space. Like I wasn't able to like I guess work at that place. I guess like that was my dream at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think whatever happened made me a better audio engineer. Like I think I was a little almost like arrogant going into it. Like I thought I knew stuff about audio engineering, and then I go to this place where they make like my favorite music, and it's just like I almost got like crushed by like how much I didn't know. And it made me like realize, okay, I have like a huge gap between like my work and the people at the studio that I admire. Like I guess it met my expectations in that I would learn because I just realized how much I needed to learn more.
No, yeah,
Yeah.
facts. No, that's a great fucking response, dude.
Cool.
Shit. How about you, Shane?
I think my first boss and mentor, Jay Robbins, is someone I probably occasionally talk to still. I don't know, probably once a year, but he was in Baltimore from Magpie Cage Studios, which is a beautiful facility in Baltimore. He was probably, I couldn't have had a better first, someone that had been around the block and signed to a major label and like had been in the industry. of someone like couldn't have given me a warmer bed to walk into the industry, because it'd be really easy for him, especially from his era and at his age, to be a gatekeeper. But he was anything but that, and I have nothing but respect for Jay, and he let me fuck up to correct me, to help me. It was such an open, warm, like malleable environment that he allowed me to explore. I was really fortunate to work with him. It got a lot harder moving on from leaving that with other people I worked with later on.
Harder in the sense of like,
I think the expectations and the personalities were definitely tougher and more complex versus and the type of work was different, and the clientele was different, and starting to do work with sign bands and label stuff, it consistently, like, the personalities you reach, it's a lot more hit or miss. You know, there's no like broad, like, oh, this, you know, this type of person's an asshole, it's like that. Like, everyone's different, but it definitely, there's a wider spectrum of people that, like, you're gonna run into that are just assholes. But that's in any job, but especially the higher up you get, it gets
weird.
It can get weird. I mean, we saw some of that with, you know, with some stuff last week, like there 2 weeks ago, you know, like with some stuff. I mean, it just, there's a couple guys as men and producers and mixers and stuff that you end up crossing paths with that, like, we're so desensitized. They're kind of like trying to get a read on them on social media to see like if their personality is congruent to that, and a lot of times it's not, and that's not negative, but
yeah. I feel very similar, and even with social media, you know, like looking at people and trying to catch their vibe through social media is so hard, and I think that's why I like the podcast game, because it's like, listen, I could post up some like fuck shit sometimes online and shit, but it's like, if you want to get to know the real me, you could watch all my podcasts and see like that I'm consistent through them. You know what I mean? My thoughts are consistent, my feelings are consistent. I actually think my hero. He wasn't my hero. He was like the first famous person I ever met from the sound engineering community, and I actually met him at AES. And I think I actually remember his name now. I think it was like, no. I don't think it's Tony Maserati.
it's Tony Maserati. Yeah,
is that the Green Day guy? And he'd be the fader guy.
Is he Green Day? He's like
no,
Beyonce.
Yeah, Tony Maserati's more of like a New York hip hop R&B guy.
Yeah.
He did like Beyonce, Jay-Z, a lot of early 2000s.
I don't know why.
Rob Cavallo did Dookie. I want to say Rob Cavallo was more of a Green Day guy.
Word.
Or Chris Lord-Alge.
Chris Lord-Alge.
You met Chris
exactly what I'm thinking about, bro.
Because you were
Chris
thinking
Lord-Alge. Yeah, I don't know why Tony Maserati.
Well, no, I
head.
mean,
He's a big name too.
Because Chris Lord-Alge did American Idiot, which is the record that everyone knows. But I was thinking of OG Green Day. But anyways, that's Rob Cavallo.
Yeah, Chris Lord-Alge, bro. He was the first like engineer I got to like meet and talk to, and it was crazy because like for me, even when I went to my first AES, I was like, I don't even know what's below novice. Like, it's like my passion.
House cat.
Yeah, like literally. I was like I was like a kitten child. I don't even know, bro. Like, didn't know jack shit. I was like learning still. Like, I knew what an XLR was at this point when I went to my first AES show, right? But it's like I had so many questions. I didn't know how to ask certain questions, which was it's like so hard because like, if you can't communicate your thoughts, it's like how the fuck are you gonna get an answer that you want or need,
right?
You know. And at AES they do these presentations in the middle all the time. I forget. I think mixed with the masters or whatever.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
They're mixed with the masters panel, and he was doing one. And I remember I got a seat right up front.
Nice.
And I was like a little kid, and I was like, and he was he's a big personality, right? And me being a big personality too, and like, you know, like always like matching people's energy. It was like, oh fuck yeah, like, you know. And he came around, and then I think there's hella people standing in a circle, and man, he was walking around. He's like, hey, he's like, you got a question? And he's like running, and he's walking, and dude, I knew he was coming to me. Even when he was all the way on the other side of the circle, I was like, there's no way this fucker doesn't come and take me, bro. There's no way. And I forget what he asked, but there's a video out there somewhere on the internet of me, like just younger me, bro. And I was like this little chubby, like even chubbier dude with like glasses and shit. And I forget what I asked him, dude. I was like, I honestly forget what I asked him, but he was just like, I mean, he said this to fucking everybody. I mean, like he's low key, he's a clown. He's a clown, dude. Like, because he said something to me, and he was like, oh my god, that's the greatest question I ever heard. And then boom, and he's like talking and everything. But he was like the first person I ever met. I was like, okay, he's kind of cool. And then kind of as time went on, you know, I look back and I was like, all right, like he's chill. He's all right, you know. Like I see him doing this thing. I know when he came out. I think the funniest thing is when he came out with his plugin. And I don't know if y'all remember, there was this commercial, bro, that I got played on YouTube every fucking time.
How could we forget?
I forget how the commercial went, dude. But it was
the one.
I don't think I've seen it.
There was one last year. I mean, he came out with more where he was like in a beach chair and shit.
Really?
Yeah, they were like filming him during COVID. It's I gotta see. I think it was all green screen though, but it's hilarious.
I low-key might have to like take. I got YouTube Premium because I got sick of the ads and
Yeah.
everything. So like I don't look at it anymore. But I might just have to hop on my other YouTube accounts and just like check him out, dude. Because low-key I miss it a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, you see all the ads for plugins too, and
Yep.
I remember they had a vocal synth, and that was like really big for a long time.
That sounds
too.
cool. Yeah.
But you know, speaking about plugins, I think this is a perfect opportunity to kind of get into like what we kind of use, what we fuck with, what we like. Is there any plugins like? If you had to look at you when you first started out, what are the top? All right, let's make this easy. What are the top 3 plugins you feel that every engineer should invest in when they first?
When they first start out.
Yeah, when they first start out.
I guess like a basic EQ, basic compressor, and then like, what's the third?
I don't know what is the third.
What is the third like?
I was gonna say those two things too. Yeah.
If just starting out, I don't know, reverb,
Some sort of some
like
delay reverb combo, like some basic effects processor,
something like that.
That's not like.
I feel like I can't even like confine it to 3 things since like daily I use like dozens of plugins. You know,
I try to think you could
stuff.
probably make the dish work with those 3. You could figure it out.
I would say so.
It has to be. It's funny. I think like as going through that era where I was like getting a lot of plugins and I was learning a lot more complex ones, and now I want simplicity and like a decent looking GUI that like feels intuitive. Sometimes like going under the hood of a plugin, it's like I would rather use hardware at this point with the amount of like hands on like getting under the hood of shit. But I mean, I think between even both you and I, like even Decapitator by Sound Toys. I mean, that thing literally does.
I think that's my favorite plugin. I use it like in almost every track.
It does everything. It's a tone box. It's a color box. It distorts. It saturates. It's EQ.
Yeah, it's cool, especially for the metal stuff I do. Like if I want extreme stuff, like that's what I go to.
I think some sort of basic learning how saturation and like harmonic distortion works too is also huge, because that'll help you get out of like when you start learning microphones and preamps and stuff, like why things sound the way they do. It's all those unique subtle bits of distortion and saturation are what make tone. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's not a fancy answer. It's like really basic EQ, man. I mean, we make records all the time with the stock Pro Tools.
Yeah,
EQ.
that's like my main EQ. The stock.
I don't
Pro
give a
Tools
shit.
So you guys being in the game for as long as you guys have been, if someone looked at you and was like, "Yo, you only get 3 plugins from anything you have now,"
Okay.
what 3 plugins would you choose?
Oh man, Decapitator's on that list. Sound Toys Decapitator. I guess an EQ, Pro Tools stock EQ, and then I think the Steven Slate distressor model. I think it's called the FG Stress.
Yep.
That's my compressor that I would choose.
I think it's great.
How about you, Shane? You feeling the same, or you
Pretty similar. I would do some sort of EQ. Stock Pro Tools or Pro Q3 by Fat Filter is like what I generally use. I would probably do, just because I grew up learning on an SSL channel strip, I'd probably do like an E or J. The plugin alliance thing's great. Just the dynamics.
Oh, that's cheating. That's like 3 plugins in one.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a channel strip. Yeah, it's not
EQ,
like
compressor,
one.
gate.
Yeah, I don't know then. If I had to break that down to there, then. I'd probably go if I couldn't use a channel strip, then I would probably just use a basic EQ.
Yeah.
Probably I can make Clout work with 1176,
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely.
and then some sort of probably Decapitator. I'd probably use Decapitator too. Just
Maybe it would be fun if we did like a kind of like an engineer off, and
Oh,
like you know
shit.
like we just get like we have a bucket just full of different like EQs, compressors, and then like I don't know fucking whatever else, and then we just have to mix a song that like is on the
Just
internet
using
and
those
shit.
tools.
just using those
Yeah.
tools. I feel like
I like that idea.
you should do a song we both haven't heard too. Something
Yeah.
that's like a little out of genre.
Yeah.
Yeah, that shit would be crazy. I think that shit would go hard. We should probably do that, bro. That sounds
Like,
fun.
Live
you can-
stream it.
Y'all would probably murder me, but like I mean, like I'm in it. I'm in it to win it, bro.
It'd be fun.
Oh, you're going down, dude.
So you know what? Also going through like plugins and everything. What I really want to get into too. What do you guys feel like is better? I know there's kind of difference. You good there?
No, I'm good.
All right, sweet.
Still waking up.
When it comes through mixing in the box and outside of the box, and what for people who are listening who might not know, basically in the box means in your DAW, like whatever plugins you're using inside. Yeah, your computer, and then outside is just having the actual like physical compressors. What do you feel is better? What do you feel is like? What do you feel your guys are using more of?
I've never mixed out of the box, so I'm completely in the box mixer. So I feel like I'm biased. Like I've never even tried the other way. So I feel like I can get the sound I want in the box.
Word.
Yeah.
And how about you, Shane? Because I know you have a little bit of both.
I think, yeah, it's a workflow thing. At this point, it's like kind of like just choose your fighter. There's really not a better. I mix mostly in the box. Occasionally, I go out with my SSL Fusion, but there's really nothing fancy I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
Even it's a workflow thing. It's like some of it's a romance thing. It's a combination of a bunch of stuff. What you grew up listening to, what you're used to. Because some of that too is like if you're used to just hearing in the box mixes and growing up with plugins and music post 2010, like you're probably not going to be romanced by someone who grew up listening to 1970s, 80s music or something cut on 2-track tape.
Yeah.
Like some of that's just culture and history.
Yeah.
There's no. I mean, we're all trying to do the same shit here. I
feel
think
that.
plugins, hardware, they're all dope.
Yeah.
I feel like if anything, it's weird because podcasting has kind of changed my perspective a little bit on it and kind of just seeing it because a lot of people, I get a lot of compliments, and I'm not even trying to gas myself up. I get a lot of compliments on the audio I have for the podcast, right? But that's just because I put a lot of work post-production wise. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I cut out a lot of the sounds, and I actually think this is probably going to be one of the best listening podcasts. Cause I just realized how good it sounds because this room is soundproofed and
It's
shit.
tight. It's quiet. There's no excess
Yeah.
like hiss or noise.
Yep.
It sounds nice.
I probably actually won't even have to do much.
Probably
But I
not.
think that's exactly that adds to the point. What I'm trying to say is like when you do as much as you can before the signal goes into the computer,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Like I feel like, and then you have that as your starting point.
the source.
That like
yeah.
kind of changes the game a lot, you know?
Oh yeah.
Because like, you know, imagine you get like this crisp ass vocal that somebody has that they put through all their outboard gear, and all of a sudden like this is your starting point now. And I think it's great looking at it because, you know, I mean, sometimes even our boy Matt, you know, he's talked about like people just looking at a mix
Yeah.
and they don't even do shit because it sounds fine to them.
Yeah.
And they'll send it back and they'll be like, yo, this is fine, you know?
I've done mixes in the past where the band's like, I don't like the guitar tone as much as like this previous mix you did, and I'm like, you played it shitty, you know, like the source is not good. I can't fix that, you know.
Yeah. I mean, there's only so much you can do to that. I mean, case in point, like there's
Yeah.
unless you're gonna retrack it or redo it, like it's not like all of a sudden like you know you throw your whatever you give behind a screen and all of a sudden just this magical cake pops out and all of a sudden like here's your song. Like there's some element of like yeah there's only so far we can take something. I mean, technology's
Yeah.
great, but there is a limit for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you're like really getting into completely manipulating and chopping something up and trying to make something more synthesized or you know just digital sounding in general. Like if you're mixing acoustic based music, something with air and a microphone, a voice, or whatever, like there's only so much plugins and technology can manipulate that to make it sound great.
For sure. No, for
And
sure.
then you can't. On top of that, you can't fake emotion. So
That's
you can't.
true.
You can't. There's no plugin for that.
Sure. Nah, I get that. I get that 100%. What's kind of coming through my mind a little bit too, guys. Do you guys have any nightmare stories from being engineers? Maybe like crazy
Man.
clients you've had to deal with, or like situations where just like you're literally living in the moment and you're like, yo, after everything I've fucking done, how am I here? Type
yeah.
moments. I don't know if there's anything you guys can think
When-
of at the top of your head.
When I was first starting this stuff out, I was like maybe 17. I think I just got my driver's license. And I would record this band. I think they're from Patterson.
Word.
Um,
Shout out E10.
yeah, and they would come to my house, and then the session would end, and they'd just be sitting there for like an hour. I'd be like, "You guys getting home?" And they're like, "We don't have a ride." So like I would have to drive them to Patterson. I remember like as a kid that felt like so like
Like taboo.
yeah, for some
Yeah.
reason. I don't
No,
know.
bro. I mean, like, I get it, bro. And if you're
Yeah.
driving late at night Patterson, listen, I always say Patterson is like no big deal until like probably like 9 p.m.
Yeah.
Or honestly, until it gets dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even most parts of Patterson are fine, but you go to some parts after night, you'd be like, damn.
Yeah.
I'm rolling up the windows. I'm
17-year-old kid in high school. That's not the most.
Yeah, if you just got my
Driving by
driver's
yourself.
license.
Yeah.
I have another story. This is more recent. When I was still doing the stuff out of my parents' basement, I had a band that they were doing a drum session, and the drummer like didn't tell me, but he brought his wife and kids to my parents' house, and like they were recording drums, and the kids were like 4 feet away from the drum kit, like no ear protection. It was just like I couldn't believe it was happening when it was happening.
I'm gonna add to that. Sometimes, if I could paint with a broad brush, some of the most uncomfortable sessions have been the ones with. If there are some dads that like the sessions like definitely like their time away from home, and then the wife crashes the party,
Oof.
Oh man.
and you've like quickly find out like I don't know. I don't want to like judge anyone's relationship in here, but it's like the wife clearly doesn't respect. She thinks this is a toy for him, and it's like some childhood adolescence thing. It's like, oh, he's doing, he needs his Friday night to do rock music with the boys type thing. Yeah, some of those situations can get a little
Oh, I bet.
cringy.
Do you have anything like specifically like you could remember? Where you're
Oh,
just
I
like,
mean-
oh, fuck.
Yeah, I've definitely been in situations specifically to those stories where like the wife shows up to the end of the session, and it's been a couple people where it's like that person didn't communicate to their partner what was happening. I didn't just even through like setting up and cleaning and like eavesdropping. All of a sudden, I hear somebody yelling or whatever. It's also like, okay, well, he didn't communicate to their partner that he was paying for this, and
Oh damn. Yeah.
all the things that come with that. But it's like when you're 36 or whatever, and you have 2 young kids, and you're coming to spend time with me on a Friday night. It's like, that's not my business. But I've been there when like I've seen an argument between 2 partners blow up because.
Word. Have you ever had to like stop a session before, like completely?
Just with alcohol and drugs, anything that's happened with that.
Oh damn. I haven't experienced that as much. Like,
2 people I've had to close because it was pointless. It's just you came to the studio at 1:00 in the afternoon, and I found out you drank a half a bottle of Jameson on your way here, and like the first 2 or 3 takes, I'm like, something's a little off.
yeah.
Like I just even walk in the door and like saying what's up to that person, like especially if I knew them beforehand, it's like you can read. It's just like I don't know. There's just a different mindset when you're like if you run into someone at 9:00 at night and you're like out at a restaurant, like you're not thinking of like if they're buzzed and you had a drink or 2, like you're not. Your mind's more acclimated to that. But it's like 1:00 in the afternoon, like I'm in my mode, and like the moment I see him in the door, I'm like, your energy's a little different.
Yeah.
And then we get 2 or 3 takes in, I'm like, oh, this dude's just fucked up. So, but nothing like too crazy. There's definitely been 2 people I've had to tell the band like, hey, like I don't know what we're doing here. Like your singer, your guitarist is literally fucking blasted. Like we can't.
Yeah.
This is a waste of time and money for everyone. So.
So how important do you feel like it is for the artist or anybody you're recording to really bring it to the session?
I feel like that's everything.
It's everything.
I can't do what I like to do unless the source tone is good, which is the performance. It's a waste of their money and time if they don't like. I get like if you have a bad studio day, like of course, but like if you know you're gonna come to the studio, then you have to learn the song on the spot, like that's just like a waste of time. So I think preparation like matters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
100%. Goes back to like there's no plugin that we're gonna do to like make you deliver like what. If you're comparing, like, if your end goal is XYZ record or XYZ artist, and then you're delivering 35% of that, or you don't even know, like, if you're not even aware of a barometer of quality, and you're kind of just, but you can feel you're phoning it in, like, you gotta ask yourself, like, how, like, is that really gonna? Do you really think like that's gonna end up sounding the way if you're comparing to blah 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 record, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to you get it really. I mean, the output, it's like you get what you put in.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel that. Because I'm thinking about it, I'm just like, you know, what we do in essence is not just sit down at a computer and hit record. You know, I mean, in a perfect world where you're having like the greatest artist ever, they make your life easy like that. You know what I mean? Where it's like, fuck,
Yeah.
like all I need to do is press the button, let you do your thing, and then do my mix. Which, if it's fucking amazing, it's probably not crazy enough to like much to do unless you're trying to be like crazy creative. You know,
Sure.
but like let's say it's just a simple mix. You know, like that's easy. It's night and day. But like what we do is art. You know, we're artists. And you know, I take pride in what I do, and I'm very sure you guys do too.
Oh yeah.
You know, so like it's almost like offensive. I feel like if somebody would come in and like, you know, like waste their time, waste our time, and like, you know, like you wouldn't do that to like, you know, just anybody. You know what I mean? Just because you're paying for it and it's a service.
People
you know?
forget, like, you're not coming here to change a tire. It's not like a linear path where it's like just because this idea of like artists, like they use the word emotion in a way that's like, it's kind of being aware of being pushing and pulling on your superpowers as an artist and knowing when like you turn on and off and like that. And if you kind of just like are a victim, just like thinking that like you have to be careful of main character syndrome. We all have this idea of like this end goal of us in this stage, and we've been hurt by exes and all this journey and stuff like that. But when you're going to work with engineers and people that eventually you form a team that want to help you and push you, you need you can't just lose sight of your own story, because like you got to be, there's a team, there's emotions here too. Like we're trying to help elicit the performance you want out of you, but we're not robots where we turn on and off like that. We're human beings, and there's emotion and passion to what we do too. It's not that simple. So like some artists coming in, I think their expectations of what they think they're going to get out of the performance they give are sometimes not realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like recording is also like a muscle. Like if you do it more, like you're used to the process. And
Yeah.
I think the people who have the most success recording are the people who do it the most.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think just getting in there is so important. You know, actually, I think this is a good point. If you had to give advice to anybody who's like the first time or they're really trying to get better at being in the studio, like what advice would you give them? What advice do you give your clients?
I feel like there's no way around the nerves if it is your first time. So like, don't be too hard on yourself to where you never do it again because you were so like scared. Like, embrace that it's gonna be uncomfortable, but like there's no way, like you will get better because you like went through that uncomfortable time of like the beginning process of recording music. Like just stick on that path and you'll get like great at it one day.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
I totally piggyback off that. Nothing happens when you're ready for anything. In
Yeah,
life
there's
either.
no- yeah.
There's no perfect timing. Sometimes you just got to show up every day, and just if you're a songwriter and the song that you worked on yesterday, the idea you listen back and it sucked. Like, I feel like the artists that I respect and love the most are the ones that just show up and put it in every day, and like they're not beating themselves up and perfecting that one piece.
Mm-hmm.
By that point, someone like him has written 99 songs,
Yeah.
and you've tried to perfect the one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's more people with that mindset that generally win.
I've experienced that, but that's like a positive. Like I've experienced people who do like obsess over that one song for
Yeah.
like 6 months, but then it's an amazing song.
Unfortunately, I think that's such a small demographic of people, though.
Yes, there are people who obsess, and then it's just like the song's not even like as good as it would be if you just wrote the song in like one consistent flow and didn't overthink anything. Like,
because the problem is with that, the people that take advantage of that is the people that look so much for validation from partners, from other people like that, and they're trying to perfect that one idea, but it's not coming from their own self-love and their own art.
Yes.
It's coming from expectations, and then that's goes deeper. Like, why are you doing this? Are you doing this just because you want the satisfaction from looking cool on social media, or are you trying to get something out?
yeah.
And I think that'll end up always being more pure and we'll make a better product and help us do what we do better.
I've definitely experienced the overthinking thing like a lot. That whole aspect of this stuff, like I'm not prone to, like free of that. I definitely experienced that.
I think it's a constant battle, like letting go of being, like even some of the film scoring stuff do now, and like being insecure about like trying to pair the right visual. Like every day we deal with it, stuff like that. I don't have. When some people say like, "Oh, that person's so talented," or they see like the end product of a skill, it's like I've worked at this for certain things for 10 years.
Yeah, it's like
You're seeing the end result.
Yes.
It's not because I'm talented.
yeah,
Or there's certain things I have an inclination that I'm better at than other things, but when people just see like, I mean, just even basic thing when you go to a fucking hibachi and you see a fucking chef making that and you see him do all these tricks and stuff like that, it's not he didn't just come at the womb doing those tricks.
Facts. No, that's big facts. That's big
For real. Like it's just like, oh, he's so talented. I'm like, there's a difference between someone like LeBron James that is genetically gifted. He's 9 across all stats, and he's 17. He's getting 18. He's getting drafted to the NBA. There's obviously Haley's comment moments where there's one or two people that are just like, holy fuck, he has everything, or whatever the person is. But it doesn't denote people that, like, I'm not musically gifted. My parents aren't really at all. There's really not a ton of music and art in my family. Like, I'm not trying to just say this was all hard work, but I show up every day even if something sucks, and I'm not. Got to be careful of dumping that on Instagram and using Dear Diary to help give yourself validation. Like, it can be a really unhealthy cyclical thing for artists.
Yeah. No,
Just show up and just try to do your best and keep moving every day. A little bit of progress is better than perfection.
Facts.
I
No,
like that.
100%. 100%. I could agree with that too, because I think especially seeing the artists who are coming into, I mean, there's more of a flood of what we were just talking about before, like bedroom studios, artists coming out and doing their thing. But I think it's just the consistency, and then the being afraid of putting shit out and getting a reaction you don't want, you know. But I think at the end of the day, it's like, fuck, you know, you're not gonna have everything be great at first, you know, and you know, you might have to work on 10-20 projects before it comes out great. You know, it's the same thing with this podcast. Like, I know I bring it up a lot, but it's like when I first started this, like, you know, like the conversation was like 2 out of 10, bro. I mean, like, it was a lot of just like sex shit, and then, you know, like shit that we were just like fucking around with, you know, just talking about wanting to get like a what do you call it, a reaction out of people, right?
Sure.
And then also it started completely different. Like, it was like a 5-part show where we were talking about community, sports, we had a music segment, like we had all these different segments, and then like it was just 20 minutes of us kind of bullshitting after like we're done with all the segments, you know. I had no idea. I mean, I think it's just proof of us all sitting here, you know. It's like, this is what consistency gets you, you know. And it's funny, and sometimes you do have to take a leap and, like, you know, do prepare yourself for certain moments, you know. And I think I mentioned this to you, Shane, before. Like, for a long time, like, I was like, damn, like, I really want to get Shane on the podcast, but I wanted to kind of wait until, like, I'm like, all right, let me get my shit together and try like a whole bunch of other podcasts, get my conversation better, get my listening skills better, and learn how to move a conversation until I get there. And even when I did have it with you, I still had to, like, I talked a lot, you know what I mean? And I've gotten like,
You had like a workflow since that. I mean, you've had like just it's no different than like mixing. It's like just chipping away at doing like 1 to 5% differences to make yourself a little bit better.
Yeah.
My friend Sean says like it's like so intense sometimes in the morning. He has a friend that tells him, and sometimes I have this ring in my mind. It's like he'll say like, "Good morning. What is one thing you're doing for yourself to get you 1% closer to where you want to be today?"
Damn.
And I'm like, "Fuck."
That's sick. Shout out Sean, bro. Love you.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's like the cup of morning coffee I need to get moving.
Yeah. Makes you think about the day differently.
It's progress.
Yeah.
It's no different than like me showing up to mix and like I found this new trick to make my snare pop out more. It's like you're finding little ways to socialize and build your intuition to have better conversations.
Mhm.
It's no different.
I feel like in order to do that, you have to kind of push a little bit and try something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just gonna happen.
No, it's not.
Yeah,
And putting yourself in those uncomfortable situations.
Allowing yourself to be uncomfortable and pushing your threshold of embarrassment and being able to fall like it's like I'm afraid way more. I'm like not as scared to fail as much because I've failed so many times.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Yeah.
That's like a huge difference. Like I think people's threshold for embarrassment, I think for artists really specifically, because I'm not in the limelight, we're not in the limelight as much. You more so are definitely in the limelight because you're a host, but you're also behind the scenes. But just being able to fall on your face a couple times and realize like everyone's gonna fall on their face. It's just a matter of how you keep getting in. Like it's not a matter of if, it's when it's gonna happen. Like everyone gets a visit from the Grim Reaper at some point, and like you're gonna eat shit professionally, personally.
Yeah, it's funny. Even talking about that, the story I was talking about before, where I still had the 6-track or whatever. It was my first thing cutting the audio strips and everything. Dude, I was so proud of my work. But the one thing that completely left my mind was I didn't know how to set up the machine from scratch. Right? So I'll never forget. I'm probably going to be talking about this on Matt Philippek's podcast too. But like everybody, it was like our first like ever like, class as audio engineers. The first time doing something actually like, with audio engineering. And I was so fucking excited. And the teacher, man, shout out Frank Fagnano, bro. He's fucking man, dude. He's a great guy. He was like, all right, who wants to present their project first? And bro, I was so giddy, bro. I was like, yo, me, I got it. I want to do it. And he was like, all right. Yeah. And I was like, bet. And I went to go hand him my fucking project, right? And then he's like, set it up.
Oh man,
Bro, my brain, my heart, straight out my asshole, straight the fuck out. Like, cause I was like, oh shit, you know what I mean? And like, this is maybe like a couple months after I learned what an XLR is, right? So I'm looking at this track, and everybody in the class, and man, dude, the classroom was like this, like basically like this big, right? It was like literally this big, and fucking there's like 12 people in there, and they're all looking at me, and I'm just like, yo, and like just the biggest moment of the field, I look at the teacher, I was like, I don't know how to do it. And then he's like, and he's trying to be a teacher, right? He's like, nah, go ahead, try. And bro, I think this is the worst thing a student could ever say to a teacher. I was just like, I looked at him, I was like, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to start. You know what I mean? But like after that, I fucking learned. You know what I mean?
Imagine you like on a cooking show and you like trying to put the blender together, but you're like the host of the show, just fucking falling apart.
Dude, it was bad. But I learned after that. You know what I mean? And I still don't have a fear of kind of just going for it and fuck it. If we fall deep, bro. Fuck it.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And doing that too, like it was like, especially that being one of our first classes, man, I think we started off with like 16 or like 18 people in our class for sound engineering, man. And I was the one of I think 6.
Oh wow,
that graduated after, dude, and that shit was crazy because I didn't think I was gonna make that shit, bro. And it's even funny. Some of the teachers even after who like are like the senior teachers, the ones you get at the end and shit, they would ask me, they'd be like, bro, how the fuck did you make it? And I was like, I think I always got away with the bare minimum. You know what I mean? I always got away with the bare minimum. I'm not gonna lie. Like the only class I fucking killed in my college was we had a film class for editing like audio and film, and I fell in love with that, bro, because it wasn't as technical. Because I feel like a lot of people felt like a lot of the they were past the technical shit, right? So like they didn't really take the time sometimes to like teach me a lot of technical shit, and I think even I'll never forget when I was interning for Shane, right? I think that's why I was so on top of him, right? And he needed his face because he was mixing, right? I'll never forget. Do you remember when I came over your shoulder and he was just like, yo, I know you're trying to take notes and stuff, but you just need to back up, right? Because he's in the zone, bro. And I would feel the same fucking way, bro. But I was over there taking notes on like everything he did. I was writing shit that I even didn't fucking know. I was like, yo, this man opened up plugin. I don't know what plugin he went, but he pressed that button. So I'm going to write that shit down.
That's cool.
I tell like interns too, it's like the best equivalent of like if I was a guitar player and writing the most intimate romantics on that moment, imagine you hovering over my shoulder like, yo, what chord is that? That's literally what it is.
Yeah,
dude.
I think people just see because I'm like mixing that they assume that it's not like an instrument or something else that's like intimate or serious. It's funny.
Did you guys have any jobs before you guys started doing sound engineering full time?
I've been doing this stuff since I was like in my parents' basement, 15 years old. So I've had like jobs along with this job. I delivered cakes for a bakery, wedding cakes.
No way, bro. That's so cool. Yo, tell me about that shit.
So, dude, they'd be like these 5-tier cakes, like so fucking heavy and like super tall. And I would have this like van, and I would put like, I don't know, 8 of those cakes in a van. I would just drive around North Jersey for like,
They didn't melt?
like Saturday, Sunday, and then they didn't melt. It was a refrigerated van.
Oh, okay, sure.
So like the whole week I would work Monday through Friday, my audio engineering stuff in my parents' basement. And then Saturday, Sunday, I would go to this bakery and deliver these cakes like all weekend.
And how was that? Did you ever drop a cake or anything?
A couple times the cakes in the back, they would fall.
Oh, fuck.
I remember this one, it was so big. It was like a 5-tier cake. And I was driving to, I think somewhere in Garfield. The bakery's in Park Ridge. It's called the Little Cake Bakery. And I was so happy I got there. I was like, I'm going to finish my day early. I can go home and work on some music. And then I opened the back of the truck, and the cake's just all over the back of the van.
Oh, fuck, bro. So what happens there?
I started eating the cake.
You mean it started...
Because I know they're not going to use it.
Damn.
No, but I have to call the bakery, send them a picture, be like, drop the cake, dude. I don't know what to say. And then like, the first time I was so nervous. I was like, fuck, I really fucked up. And they're like, no, it's all right. We'll make another one.
Damn. So
they're used to that. They pump out so much
Aren't those cakes like...
stuff.
Those cakes are like $1,200.
Cakes
like,
are
those
expensive.
Cakes are expensive as
yes.
fuck.
Yeah.
And they spend like hours decorating them. Like the outside is so beautiful.
Just for it to
But
slide in the van.
most of the cakes that I've delivered have been successfully delivered, or else I wouldn't have a
Did you
job.
really start eating the cake a little bit though? or
Yes.
just- That's the fucking best, bro.
Because I'm like, they're not going to use this cake. I might as well just have a piece. Like,
Bro, that's sick. Damn, bro. That's crazy.
But
Celebrating victory.
this and people who drive crazy, man. If you drive around, like, I would drive for like I don't know 6-7 hours of the day, and like drive all over North Jersey, and there's certain highways where people just drive crazy.
Yeah, dude.
And I've had situations where like I have to kind of swerve so I don't hit this person, and a cake would fall. Like,
Damn.
yeah.
That's wild, dude.
That's wild.
When I first started doing that stuff, I was so nervous driving. Like I was like an old person driving, like
Yeah.
super slow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, too. I mean, it's like...
That was really the only like part-time job I had doing this stuff. And my brother owns a landscaping company now, and I help him. I cut some lawns for him.
Word. That's
Yeah.
what's up.
Yeah.
Did you like? So, how was your last day there then at the cake place? Like, how did you say goodbye, or was it kind of just like
It was like over a period of time. I still go back there. My cousin actually works there, so
Oh, word. That's what's up.
she co-owns the bakery, and she's like a cake decorator. So that's how I knew about the job. That's how I got the job.
Sick, bro.
But-
We're gonna have to go there.
Yeah, they
sometime,
have
bro.
really good food. Yeah,
Hell yeah, dude.
it's a good bakery.
What about you, Shane? Did you ever do anything else?
Yeah, I did. I worked at a pizza place part-time, and then I was a barista. And then... Yeah, the barista gig sucked. That's just... I did 6 months of that, and I think that's definitely... I any sort of like retail basic customer service job like that is humbling.
Mhm.
And, like doing that once definitely taught me a lot about people too. In terms of like up until I was kind of like full on, I did a bunch of other random things too because I was gigging. I was making some money from playing drums, playing in some cover bands, doing lessons, tour managing for a little bit off and on a small level in my early 20s, but I didn't start like full on like making my living from audio engineering consistently probably till I was 25, I want to say.
Word.
But I was obviously doing it up until that point part time. So
Do you feel like you guys, either from the cake job or maybe the pizza or barista, you learned something that maybe you don't feel like you may have eventually learned in audio engineering and stuff, but like you learned something there where it's like, oh fuck, like I'm gonna keep this with me like forever.
That really helped my I think people skills, like my socializing, because like my job before that is just me writing music all day alone, and now I have to deliver these cakes, walk into random venues where I don't know anybody, walk into the kitchen and talk to the people who run the wedding. Like that got me out of my shell. and I think that made me better at business because I can like the more I went around North Jersey, the more I realized like I can connect with people better than I thought I could, and that translates to the stuff I do now. Like I have that same connection I had with these people, or like my way of approaching it that I use now. Yeah.
I totally. Yeah, feel the same way. I think, and also like seeing friends. I think the one thing I'll add on top of that, like from the early 20s, and then them starting getting into jobs and seeing emails with bosses and HR definitely has kept me in the line of not wanting to work in that environment too.
That's a good way. Like, yeah.
Sometimes, especially the last 2 or 3 years, like post COVID, and seeing workplace culture scramble and like everything's changed so quickly, like it's almost solidified. Wow, I don't want to enter that world at all. Like, obviously being happier here for a myriad of reasons, but like doing those jobs and seeing some friends just immediately kind of put the car in park and just going for it, like okay, this is the way this job's going to be, and then they're just in this bureaucratic, abusive, toxic relationship with their workplace. It's like that's deterred me from anything of like sometimes to a fault where I'm like too close-minded about like that world. Where I'm just like I get really hyper focused on like, man, I'd rather work for myself. I'd fall on my own sword any day.
Yeah, I think the biggest gift, especially for us all being here, is like just being your own boss, man. Just does like it does something, just does different to your psyche, man. Like, you know, I worked at a Cinnabon. I mean, you guys know I've worked at a Cinnabon.
So good.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
He got me a free one 2 weeks ago.
I was a manager at a Cinnabon for 4 years, dude.
Nice.
And I worked there from like straight out of high school, basically up until like 6 months after COVID. I decided to leave. And that was like the best family environment I ever had, dude. Like, it was crazy. It taught me a lot of leadership stuff. It taught me a lot of people skills. Because it was in the food court in the Willowbrook Mall, and like, bro, like you wouldn't think you deal with like crazy people, but let me tell you, the mall is the most depressing, like people, like disgusting people hub in like any area. Like, you'll find great people there, bro, but let me tell you, everybody who works in the mall is their own fucking character, and it's wild. There's people who are like small businesses. I've seen at least over like 50 different kiosk businesses come in and out of the mall, dude. Stores open, stores close, big stores open, big stores close. A whole bunch of managers coming through, like, you know, business owners coming through talking to me, and like, it's great. I got a lot of stuff from that, and I think the biggest thing is that, like, honestly, they probably could have almost got me to stay there. Like, if they ever offered me, like, because I remember one time they offered me to like co-manage like my own store, like out in Jersey Gardens, because they had a position that opened up, and I was like, oh shit, like this is crazy, and I would be making salary, like, I was so happy, dude. I was so happy, but I just knew it wasn't my calling. You know what I mean? I knew music was my calling, so I was like, fuck. I think it was the after jobs that really pushed me to do what I'm doing today, man, because it was like I had shitty bosses after that. No offense to y'all if y'all are watching, but like, you know, like I'm still cool.
It's the truth.
I'm still cool with one of them. I'm still cool. But the last job I had, being a waiter, he was cool. We just butted head too much. You know what I mean? So it was just like, I'm not gonna go into that, but like, you know, like we butted heads. So I was just like, I can't work for you, dude.
It makes you want to do your own thing.
Yeah, and especially when you have your first real bad manager, and like I had before that job, my manager like cursed me out, and
That's not a good manager.
Yeah, and I was just
I don't care the context.
dude, like, you can't fucking do that. And it's crazy because it was all just like bad communication, and like it was a little bit on both parts. But bro, you're my leader, bro. Like, the fuck, like, what am I supposed to do? Like, you know. So it once I realized, like, after that, I was just like, I'm super happy to be like, I can't ever see having a boss again. You know what I mean? Or at least like running my own shit how I want to, and it's never like, oh, like, you're gonna tell me what to do. It's like, no, we're working in collaboration now, fellas. Like, that's what it is.
You see some people get that around like 23 to 26, get that job where it's like 10 to 20K more than they thought they were gonna make. There's like especially now with like nice employee incentives and stuff like that. But I think similar to coming here every day and starting to realize like those shades are gonna wear after a while, because like it's gonna feel nice for like the first 6 months. Then think about doing that for 10 years.
Yeah.
So the same way of like coming in here and taking this for granted in some ways, like turning your hobby day to day into a lifestyle, like I'm seeing it now with friends. And then the scariest thing is, so a lot of people I think are afraid of having too many options. Like, I don't know what to do next, but I think it's arguably scary to be trapped and not be able to get out of a situation like that. I do.
I think I agree. Yeah.
You're like, oh, it's $20K more than I thought. You know, I'm salaried. Like I got, you know, like I have this management position, but like your growth past that, like I would be scared at 35 to like be a manager at somewhere for 10 plus years. And then, you know, obviously it's not that simple, but like, can you get out of it? Like how simple it is. Like that's, and especially if you start getting, you know, a partner and kids involved, like things get more complicated. But
yeah, I think for sure, you know, looking at this and just being like, wow, you know, I think we're really just building something fucking beautiful here, especially like, you know, and just saying that, even taking this for granted. I think I've talked to you about it a lot. I don't know if I've mentioned it to you, just like being like, this is so fucking cool, you know? And even
all the time.
Even after the open house, like seeing what people say, and like, you know, I like Shane, because like whenever I talk like this, like, you know, like Shane's always like, yo, make sure like you're like, you know, you're grounded and shit.
Yeah,
and I do for sure. But like it's cool to see other people's reactions too, and just being like, because I forget, I honestly forget sometimes, because like I said, the work, we're not even close to like where like we could be. You know what I mean? And there's so much more work to be done, and like I can't imagine how this place is gonna look like in a year once we get like everything we want in here.
That
and it's
sounds cool.
that's literally it's funny because I was watching Goodfellas last night, and Robert De Niro. Have you seen those YouTube videos, the actor circles, where it's just like famous OG actors just talking to each other?
Yeah, I have seen those.
Literally that thing is honestly just a reminder from him, because he's been around the block so much. He's like, I've seen it. People get that next step in their career, and they're like, this is it. And it's like, it's not don't be excited by the new things stuff like that, but it's just be mindful that like these are all just steps to. There's not like and I think this is some of the disillusion we have with celebrity and social media, right? It's like, oh, once we get here, then I'll be happy.
Yes,
Once we get here, then this will happen. Like that grass is greener mentality. If someone like that, Robert De Niro saying it, is a farce, like it's an idea of just being mindful of we're one people here trying to make a good impact, and it's not belittling like this isn't dope or anything like that, but it's, to me, it's like, all right, now we got to put the work in.
Guys, we're coming pretty close to the end of the podcast. It's crazy. I feel like we've been here just for like 10 minutes. I always feel like whenever we have good conversation going. But I do have 3 final questions to ask you guys, all right? And we'll kind of just spitball between them. My first one is, for anybody who is getting into sound engineering or wants to do this and make it their living, what advice do you have for them?
Oh man, you have to find a reason for people to come to you and not other people. If you want to do this for a living and like have a clientele, like you need some type of niche, I guess, like a vibe in the way your stuff sounds. Or I think in my case, like a lot of people come to me because they like I can see how to make their song a better song, and they know that, and that's like, and they come back to me because like I guess they value what I do in that way. Yeah, find a reason for people to come to you. I know it's a general thing, but
I think it's great.
Yeah,
I think find a reason people to care, because there's a reason why there's only so few people that continue to do this. It's like, it's not going to be the one amp head you buy or the microphone you get.
Yeah, it's not the gear.
No, it's really, that stuff is fun. It's sexy, but that's not why we have people that consistently hang out with us. I don't think at all. Well, I think realizing so much of your day-to-day life and your habits and stuff like that influence this job more than you realize, and being mindful of that, your taste in food and film, music, art, that's all going to influence your palette and how you're making your clients work. Being mindful of that, expanding, not just, you know, practicing, like you're like similar to like practicing drums, just rudiments all day, like, and just trying to become the best mixer, like find reasons why you're trying to become better at what you do.
I like that.
Then I think it'll, like the day off I took last week, just even for myself, and going to Mitsuya and Edgewater and just getting inspired by food and making a nice Japanese meal for myself. Like and I'm just listening to music. I came back the next day and I think I did better work on my mix.
Yeah.
It had nothing to do with that.
Word. All right, guys. Second question. In the foreseeable future, do you guys see yourself staying in Jersey? Why or why not?
I think I would move to the city. I've lived in Jersey my whole life, suburbs. And every time my girlfriend used to live in the city and I would go visit her in the city. Her family lives in the city. Every time I'm in the city, I feel more free. And I think I would move to the city because of that.
Why do you feel more free? I'm just curious because my brain goes the opposite. I get more anxious. Like,
really?
Yeah.
I feel like there's no specific way you're supposed to live in the city. And I feel like in the suburb area, it's more like conformist type stuff, like the vibe.
Sure.
And people in the suburbs are very worried about how they're perceived in the neighborhood, what their neighbors are doing. But in the city, like, no one gives a fuck what you're doing. And every time I go there, I feel like a more free version of myself.
That's actually really well said. I didn't.
Yeah, dude. I respect the fuck out of that.
Yeah,
Cool.
Whatever suburb you're in, you're kind of, you got to play that team.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. And I've known that my whole life. That's like a lot of the reason why I am the way I am. And I would like to explore the, like, a more free version of myself, whatever that looks like.
Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, I think spiritually, from an individual's perspective, yeah, I couldn't resonate with that more. There's something nice, cozy about being suburb kids. It's always nice,
Yes,
for sure.
I do like that aspect of it. It is more quiet.
Yeah.
That would keep me in Jersey, just like the quiet aspect.
I think I've been saying this consistently for a couple years. I think, and I feel more even coming out of COVID. It's professionally, I really like being around people and stuff like that. Personally, this is not my speed as a person. I definitely enjoy a calmer, quieter lifestyle. I think it's a little too bit. People are a little too buzzy for me here. I'm painting with a broad brush.
Yeah.
I think it might just be a Northeast thing in general. To just New York, New Jersey, just I wouldn't mind a little bit of a slower pace, slower conversation, a little more space in between things. It's just who I am, though. I think as I get older,
I feel that from you. I feel that you want to take your time doing things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been around so much of just like that. Like my energy as I get older is wanting to. Like I love to sit down for 2.5 hours and watch a movie and just be quiet.
Yeah.
As I get older, it's more my speed.
I feel like I'm still young and trying to figure it out, but
As you should be.
I don't know. I think I'm a Jersey head, yo. Like I could see myself dying here. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I definitely could see myself like moving to Cali for a year or two.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I could definitely see myself moving to Peru for a year or two. Honestly, I could see myself living anywhere else, like, for a little bit of time. You know what I mean? But I feel like when it's all said and done, when I want to raise a family or settle down, you know what I mean? Like, I don't think there's any other place I'd rather be than Jersey. You know what I mean?
Nice.
I really can't.
Hell yeah.
It's like, and trust me, like going to California this year, man, the sunsets, every day is gorgeous. Like I feel that, I get that vibe. You know what I mean? When I was in Texas, same thing. It's like as far as the eye can see, land is flat. You know what I mean? Everybody's chilling, it's mad spaced out. You know what I mean? You got your artsy fartsy places where you can drive 3 hours to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Florida, I get it too. It's kind of like a mixture. It's like it's beautiful weather, not necessarily sunsets every day, but it's beautiful weather, man. You can't be mad down there. It's mad chill. It's almost too lax for me.
Yeah.
Florida drivers do not know how to fucking drive. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Fuck all of you fucking Florida. No, I'm about to get canceled or whatever. I don't give a shit. All right?
Low-key accurate.
Bro, their left lane is the worst left lane
I
in the
agree.
world.
It's terrible.
I went to Florida in March and I was driving from the airport and I agree with you.
Awful.
I agree with you.
Like I drove from Orlando to Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jesus.
Worst experience in the world.
Yeah, that sounds awful.
Worst experience in the world. If it was the Turnpike here in Jersey, bro, I'd be in Miami from Orlando in like an hour and a half tops.
Damn.
Tops. It literally took me, I think it was like a 3 hour, almost 3.5 hour drive. It was god awful. Yeah. Sorry, went in a little tirade.
That's so good.
When I get emotional or passionate about something, I'm just like,
Florida drivers really tipped us off.
all right, guys. My last question for the pod for you guys: if you could go back to you when you were just starting out as an engineer, right before you really started getting into this, what advice would you give to yourself?
Just keep doing what you're doing. I'm pretty happy with my progression of my work and the things I've learned along the way. I wouldn't give myself any other advice. I'm content with like my growth as a human overall, doing what I do. Maybe I could have at sometimes been like less harsh on myself for things that I've screwed up on, and not like act from an anxious place. I think that's been a problem of mine for a long time. But other than that, like I would just tell myself to do what feels right.
Word.
Yeah, I think enjoy some of the chaoticness of the whole experience too. Like
Yeah.
let go a little bit of like trying to hold on to yourself and your identity of who you are. You're gonna change and things are gonna change and you're gonna meet new people. Like things are. Don't try to grip onto life so tightly in this field. That's something I would tell myself. Just try to breathe, let things go. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be a little wacky at some points. Just try to enjoy it. You're not gonna be defined every day by the day before. Like, be a little lighter on yourself. I definitely would do the same thing for myself specifically. Be a little kinder, and just get in the wave a little more and view things instead of being so reactive or judgmental or assuming like I have to be here or this needs to happen.
Yeah.
Just enjoying the process a little more.
Fox fellas. Well, guys, we're at the end of the podcast. It's a fucking dream come true, finally getting us three together on a couch and everything. Absolute pleasure, absolute honor, and I really mean that, guys.
Yeah, man.
Guys, let the people know where they can find you on your socials. We can start with Aaron.
Cool. You can go to Instagram. I'm Iron Audio. YouTube, Iron Audio. I guess everywhere I'm Iron Audio. But my name's Aaron. Aaron Shaparian. That's how I say my name. So, yeah, just look me up.
Chia. Glower. I'm still figuring out because my email's a little different. Glower.studios is our Instagram handle. And we need more social media platforms, but that's coming later in the future. But that's the best way to see what's going on right now.
Word. And guys, y'all already know the business. Ayoo Chill Podcast, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Actually, the other day we just made an OnlyFans, so I don't know if we're gonna do anything on there.
We have the email confirmation. He's not kidding.
100%. Go follow me on OnlyFans. I don't have any followers on OnlyFans yet. The first follower who follows me on OnlyFans will get a free Ayoo Chill Podcast sticker
pic
sent to them and foot pic. Socks on though. Socks on
Socks
though.
on.
100%.
Maybe the big toe.
100%. Oh, socks on, big toe out. I love that idea. I love that.
It's the C string for socks.
I like that.
All right, guys, let's get the fuck out of here.
All right.
Hey, let's get lunch. That's perfect because I have
Just a quick wrap up to each of you.
Good shit, man. That was fun. That was really fun. That was a nice way to welcome into the Get your client to come in. We'll get your conversation.